Hello everyone, welcome to Chargers TV. Round 9 of the SEABL competition concluded over the weekend as your Telstra Hobart Chargers were at home against the Nunawading Spectres at the Dwain Entertainment Centre. Let's have a look at the results from Friday night for you now. In the women's game, it was Nunawading getting this one in pretty much a bit of a blowout in the end. 84-66 was the scoreline. Your top scorers for Nunawading were none other than Whittle with 26 points and 6 assists, while former Hobart Chargers player Izzy Jilcott chipped in with 20 points and 9 rebounds. For your very own Telstra Hobart Chargers, Shana Thompson led the scoring with 26 points, and Kathleen Shearer had 22 points and 5 assists. Let's hear from the coaches now. You'll hear from none other than Dwain Davie and Paul Flynn.
Oh, look, I think effort wasn't a problem. I was really pleased with the way the girls, played hard and played strong pretty much from the get-go, and even in that last probably 4 or 5 minutes, the game was probably gone. But the girls kept playing hard, and that's what we're after. I guess the problem for us is we're just not executing at either end at the moment the way that we want to. I guess that's the main disappointment, and we've got to fix it up quick, smart.
Britt Smart, obviously a late exclusion from tonight. The reason behind that?
Yeah, she's tweaked the calf again. So, the heavy, probably too many minutes last week, and then it just didn't feel so good on Thursday morning, and got an assessment, and she's got a grade 1 strain. So she'll rest over the break and should be fine to go once we come back.
Yeah, look, it's something that we've been working on. We started the season off really, really well, and then sort of had a bit of a crisis of identity for a few games. The girls, to their credit, have locked in at practice and executed both ends of the floor, and really as a group, which has been fantastic. And I think when we do that, we do have the ability to control tempo, and I think when we do that, we're a pretty hard team to guard.
You seem pretty happy with some offensive phases and defensive phases throughout. Is that just trusting the system and the girls finally buying into what you're trying to put through? Yeah,
well, look, when we had that crisis of identity, we sort of blew the offense up after a couple of weeks. And again, to the girls' credit, they knuckled down. A whole new offensive system. We put that in the one training session before we played the Chargers at home, and it's paid off really, really well. Our staple, though, is our defensive end. If we can control the defensive end, we're in really good shape. I think across all 5 positions, we have an ability to lock in and shut down teams in their rhythm. And if we can sort of keep teams around that 55 to 60 mark, I think we're giving ourselves a good chance to win.
So the thoughts there of Dwain and Paul, and now we're going to bring in my co-host Justin Bryan into the broadcast. And of course, Justin, it was none other than execution and injuries that let the Chargers down in the women's game.
Absolutely. I mean, you only had to look on the offensive end. They were missing really basic, things like basic passes. See guys, girls rolling to the basket, just overshooting the pass, or someone making a cut, not finding that person on the cut. Even to the point of not swinging the ball when you got players that are open to take jump shots, little things like that. And even little things, like missing a pick. So not quite making the execution there, or basic things like their shots just not falling, and then even on the defensive end again, not being accountable, not rotating. Dwain said about the effort. The effort was great. You did see a lot of girls diving on the ball, falling on the floor, wanting to foul, take fouls as well. So they really tried to execute and do what they what they had to do, but. At the end of the day, just that effort occasionally was just sort of let them down. And I think an injury factor was there too. You only had to see with Britt being out, Clara's still out, Josie's not there, Alex is just coming out of concussion, someone like a Kathleen who's probably still just nursing that ankle to being right. So there's half a dozen concerns alone there. I think the girls are sitting okay though, heading into the halfway mark, but they'll have to do a fair bit of work heading into the second half of the season.
Absolutely, and we did asked Dwain about his thoughts going into the mid-season break of where his team's at, and you'll hear from Dwain now.
Probably have to wait till the end of the weekend because there's a few important games in terms of ladder positions, I suppose, for the rest of the weekend. So I guess we'll reassess after that. But I guess in terms of timing, take away the the loss tonight, the break probably couldn't come at a better time for us, to be honest, because we're a little bit banged up and we've got some injuries and illness and different things going on that's sort of hampered us a little bit. So we really needed that, I guess, time to sort of get things going again. You know, we'll see where we're at in a couple of days in terms of ladder positions and make a plan for the second half.
Dwain, with his thoughts on where they're at as they go into the mid-season break, and Justin, they're 2 wins out of the 8, but Dwain is saying that the break can't come at a better time because injuries are a concern, as you mentioned.
Absolutely. I mean, half a dozen players to any roster in the Seabull, whether you're at full, a full-strength sides like a Nunawading or someone like a Mount Gambier in the men's, you know, you can be at full strength all you want, but the second you lose half a dozen players, I don't care who you are, that's going to affect the way you play, and that's certainly affected our women's side. 2 games, that's quite easy to make up, especially when you get on a bit of a run. You only had to see the girls there at one point. They had 4 on the trot. You know, went on a real streak there. The last couple of defeats certainly have hurt the side in where they stand, but nonetheless, I think they can bounce back and really make an effort with these injuries. 2 games outside the 8. Again, you know, those 2 games we don't drop. We're still in the 8. We're still in contention. As Dwain said, I don't think the bye could have come at a better time for our girls.
Absolutely, Justin. And, of course, no games this weekend as the Queen's Birthday long weekend is happening. So, therefore, the league is having a whole weekend off. We'll take a break and we'll come back with more right after this. Welcome back. Now time to review the men's game as the men got up in another thriller at the DEC. Justin, that's like the 4th week in a row we've had ridiculous. A close game, which has gone less than 5 points. 86-82 was the scoreline. In Hobart's favour. They get the win in this one. Top scorers for Nunawading were none other than Simon Conn, the reigning defending MVP, with 18 points and 10 rebounds, while Tom Wright had 17 points and 4 assists for the former Hobart Chargers captain. For your very own Telstra Hobart Chargers, none other than Craig Moller had 28 points and 4 rebounds, while Zac White chipped in with a very handy 23 points and 6 rebounds. You're going to hear from Zac White and former Hobart Chargers development player in Ambros Eugster.
That was big for us. We felt like we had a good chance to win that game 2 weeks ago, and to come in here and get it done, it feels good. And it's kind of, you know, redeeming, you know, like we felt like we should have had that one, and we took care of business tonight.
Similar game to the one a few weeks ago. It was neck and neck, and kind of could have went either way, but some big plays down the stretch by your boys.
Yeah, and that's what the games like this against good teams, it's those couple plays here and there that can really win the game for you. And down the stretch, that happened to be us 2 weeks ago. It happened to be them. So,
Anthony mentioned during the week that with Mafang out, you kind of have to step up your game a little bit. There's that third import. I mean, has Stewie kind of given you a bit of a touch up at training about that?
No, I mean he mentioned it in passing maybe before the last game. But we know Mafang is huge for us. He's any given night he could drop 20. So. You know, it's
beast mode. It's the man right here. The best.
So yeah, it wasn't just me. You know, if he's out, everyone's got to chip in and score some buckets. And you see tonight, like BJ had a couple. You know, everyone chips in, and we can make up for the loss.
Yeah, so we knew it was going to be a grind from day dot. Really, I mean, they're a tough team. They got some good players. Craig Moll's one of them. Like, yeah, very very good player. Hard to stop. Even though we import Nichols, yeah, it was a big emphasis for us at training. So, yeah, I mean, obviously he's going to get his own, and yeah, he's going to do his thing. So we tried our best. It was going to be a grind, and yeah, so unfortunately we come out with a loss. So, oh well.
A different result when you were back home at Nunawading. I mean, you guys got up, and then, you know, the crowd, as you well know, the crowd does play a bit of a party. Do you think that had something to do with it?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, coming down here, it's always a big crowd. So, I mean, coming into the game, the crowd, I think, does play a massive part in how the game went at the end. So, yeah.
So the thoughts there from Zac and Ambros. And JB, Zac, very happy with the defensive end from his boys. And I can tell you, despite looking at the 5-minute interval scorings here that we have on the stats, it wasn't any closer than 6 points for out. So very tight game, and we got this one in the end with some big plays down the stretch.
Hell of a game. Once again, we've had 4 in a row. I mean, the deck is the place to be at the moment in the Seabull and for any sort of entertainment you want in Hobart. that was one of the best games you've seen. Not necessarily a high-scoring game, but defensively, everybody executed. A lot of fire in the belly for these two teams. Very emotional game the last time they played away. There was, nothing missing emotionally-wise in this game. This was, pedal to the floor. They were just going flat out. They were in fifth gear the whole game. Tremendous effort. And again, as Zac said, defence won the game at the end of the day. I mean, Simon Conn, the reigning MVP, had 34 last time they played. He got held to 18. Zac, again, showing why to me and to a lot of people, he's going to be the defensive player of the year. There's no doubt about that. Craig Moller backing up his big game, playing well. Crucial minutes off the pine. For some of our players, crucial minutes for guys like Terry, who played a really, really good role. I mean, Stewie even mentioned during the week Zac had to step up because he's holding in one of those import roles, and he more than delivered on that front.
Absolutely.
And an absolute classic of a game to come and watch. Really emotional, really intense, and thankfully the margin was in our favour.
Absolutely, Justin, and a good crowd on hand. It was 1,151 people at the deck. It felt like 2,500 in that close game in the fourth quarter. Now, obviously, we are at the break, and we asked Zac about his thoughts of where your very own Telstra Hobart Chargers men's side is at.
I think we got to be in the conversation, one of the top teams. I know Nunawading was, 1 or 2. So I think we know that we can handle the top teams. Kilsyth is another game in the beginning. We probably caught them at a bad time during the year, but hopefully we see them again, and hopefully it's in the final.
So second half of the season, it's like you get this little break now, recharge the batteries, and go strong again in 2 weeks' time against Melbourne.
Yeah, I think we could all use a break. We have a couple of injuries, and I think people are a bit tired, so I think we'll make good use of this 2 weeks.
So Zac White there with his thoughts as far as where the team is at for the mid-season break to now. And JB, he thinks Hobart should be in that conversation for that top 4.
Absolutely, and it's very hard to deny Hobart to be in that conversation. I mean, other than maybe catching a bad break at the start of the year, team hadn't gelled, they'd only been together as a unit for 24 hours, then they go away and lose an awfully tight one to Nunawading, they bounce that back. Well, I mean, they're only the second team to beat Nunawading this season. They've got to be in the conversation. They beat Mount Gambier, they're winning games at home, they're being more than competitive on the road. It's very hard to deny it. I mean, you've got someone like a Craig Moller who's already in the NBL, he's an NBL champion. You've got someone like a Mathang who had previously played with Perth. He's got that, that capability to play in the NBL. Trey Nichols, I do believe, in the SBL, I don't know if it was last season or the season before, led all comers across the country as far as points per game. He's definitely got to be in that conversation. You've only got to see Zac, to me, the defensive player of the year, and the local guys. I mean, he brought up BJ, the ability for BJ to get buckets. He's a veteran of the team. Terry's a veteran of the team. We've got depth in our bench with the young guys. I mean, sky's the limit. I really, really think that they're, if not a top 4 side, if they're not a top 2 side, they're definitely a top 4 side.
And Hobart currently sitting in the top 4 at the moment as they're 4th on the ladder at this point in time. And welcome back. Don't forget to follow us on all of our social media content to keep up to date with all the goings on here at the Telstra Hobart Chargers. You can like us on Facebook, you can follow us on Twitter, you can follow us on Instagram, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. So don't forget to keep up to date with all the goings on here at the Telstra Hobart Chargers. There are no games this weekend due to the mid-season break and the long weekend, so the league and everyone else are having a weekend off. And for us here at Chargers TV, we will have a weekend off as well too. We're going to leave you with the last bit of the interview with former Hobart Chargers player in Ambros Eugster. We speak to Ambros about his time, how he's enjoying his time in Melbourne, and how he's enjoying the lifestyle in Nunawading as well too. We'll be back next week, and that's all we have time for in this edition of Chargers TV. On behalf of the entire crew, it's goodbye. Now, obviously you're former Hobartian.
Yeah.
How are you enjoying life in Melbourne? How are you finding that lifestyle?
Obviously it's a lot busier living over in Melbourne, a lot more people around, but it's good. Like, loving Nunawading, club's awesome, really good support, good tight group of guys, so it's awesome over there at the moment, yeah.
And look, you obviously come through the junior ranks here, and obviously I got an opportunity to coach you some years ago. Some years ago. How much does it mean, the coaches you've had here, to work your way up, and now all of a sudden you're in a very, very good roster at Nunawading?
Yeah, it's awesome. Hey mate, how you going? Yeah, it's awesome. You learn so much from, I guess, your young age with all the coaches and the state coaches and even club coaches. So yeah, it means a lot. And your mates. Working your way up, and my mates, working your way up to I guess a level like this, like Siebel. So and then obviously learning more and more from more experienced coaches. So yeah, it's awesome.
Where would you like to go? Do you want to keep working your way up and see if you can crack NBL at some stage?
See, mate. I mean, yeah, hopefully work your way up. I mean, there's obviously a massive jump from Siebel to NBL. So, I mean, obviously just earning some big minutes in Siebel and obviously working your way through there and progressing, I guess. So, yeah, NBL's still a goal.
You've had a few years in the Siebel now, so how are you finding your development, and now you're kind of playing a little bit more of a bigger role this year?
Yeah, so obviously, I mean, you learn so much from like Shane McDonald and Tommy Wright. They're such good role models, and you learn so much off them. So obviously you try and mimic what they do on the court, and then when it's your chance, you come out and try to do your best, I guess. So yeah, it's good. See ya.
Well, on that note, thanks to Matty Young, Ambros, really good to see you, mate. And look, I hope you keep enjoying your time in Melbourne and in Nunawading, and I really hope you keep climbing that ladder and reach the ultimate goal one day, mate.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
All right, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Good job.